Right everyone, it is Finn here and welcome to my Premier League Match Week 8 prediction video where of course we'll be discussing every single game coming your way this Premier League match weekend. And ladies and gentlemen, it is fair to say that we've got a lot of talking points for Premier League Match Week 8 because since the international break, these 2 weeks without Premier League football, a lot has happened. 19th place, second last place, Newcastle United in the Premier League has become the richest club in world football. So yeah, that's happened. We've also got a new face in the Premier League as Claudio Ranieri, a Premier League winning manager, is the new manager of the Hornets of Watford FC, and his first game will be against Liverpool. Bit of a tight contest, or bit of a tricky contest, should I say. So as I said, Premier League Match Week 8 definitely has a lot of talking points, and it's definitely got some exciting games that you should look out for. Which, by the way, guys, if you are new to my channel and you want to see more of my stuff in the future, obviously, please don't forget to subscribe down below. I'd appreciate it a lot, and obviously it means you get to see more of my stuff in the future. It really is a win-win in my books. But jumping into the first game, it is a game I've just brought up for Match Week 8. It is Watford versus Liverpool. Now, the last time these two teams played against each other in the Premier League was that time period about 2 years ago where Liverpool was something stupid like 18 wins in a row or whatever that record was, and Watford ended up putting an end to that with a 3-0 win. Now, do I feel like Watford could get another 3-0 win? Will it be another 3-0 win? I think so. I think it's going to be a 3-0 win, but to Liverpool, unfortunately. Nothing bad against Claudio Ranieri. He is a proven winning manager. He's done some great things. I feel like he could be a great manager for Watford. But versus Liverpool, I mean, unfortunately, at the end of the day, it's not an unpopular opinion. Liverpool is the better team. They are a great team. They haven't actually looked bad this season. Yes, maybe they had one or two slip-ups and they weren't amazing versus Manchester City. But at the end of the day, Liverpool should get the result. It should be a comfortable 3-0 win. And in terms of a player to watch, once again, it sounds so boring, but you have to go for the Egyptian king. You have to go for Mo Salah. As I've said on multiple occasions, he's like pizza. Even on a bad day, he is good. Mo Salah, once again, just kicking up the numbers. I mean, he is so heavily underrated. Once again, I think people just forget about Mo Salah because he is that good. He is so consistent that people just expect it from him at that point. That's how good he's actually become. Once again, nothing bad against Watford or Claudio Ranieri. I mean, as a Manchester United fan, I won't lie, semi-salty that Watford have a more decorated manager than us at Manchester United. But you know what? We move on. We don't cry about it. But yeah, as I said, as much as I like Ranieri, as much as I like Watford, at the end of the day, I think Liverpool will end up getting the result. Now, moving on to the next game, it is going to be Leicester City versus Manchester United. And of course, Manchester United are going to be without the likes of Harry Maguire and Raphael Varane. People are saying that it is going to be hectic, that Manchester United are going to be so lost. I don't necessarily agree with that. 2-3 years ago, he had a seriously good spell, the likes of Victor Lindelof. I don't think he has an awful centre-back. People seem to forget how brilliant he was for us about 2 years ago. When Eric Bailly is playing, he seems to be really, really good. It's not that he's a bad player, it's just the fact that he spends majority of his time with some sort of cast or boot on because of his injuries. Eric Bailly and Victor Lindelof are not bad centre-backs, and if they play versus Leicester City, I don't see too many problems. I'm not too upset with Manchester United. I am just disappointed after that draw versus Everton. They should not have gotten that result, especially after the likes of Andy Townsend pulled off one of the worst Cristiano Ronaldo celebrations I have ever seen. I mean, it was seriously sloppy. But at the end of the day, Manchester United, will they get a result versus Leicester? Now, as we know, this has always been a tight contest. Leicester City and Manchester United have always had a really nice contest between them. But I've been very disappointed with Leicester City so far this season. They have lost unnecessary points. Defensively, they are making mistake after mistake after mistake. But on the attacking front, they could pose a threat versus Manchester United. As I said, still not the strongest defense for United, and when Jamie Vardy, Iheanacho, Tielemans, all of those players move forward and they can create something, they can be deadly. So it will be a tight contest. But as I said, just because purely I've been disappointed in Leicester City's performances, I'm going to give Manchester United the win. I'm going to give them a 2-1 win. As I said, both teams definitely need to step up, but Leicester City as a whole has been slightly more disappointing so far this season. I mean, their previous result was a 2-2 draw versus Crystal Palace. They capitalized on mistakes quite well, but defensively a bit sloppy and communication wasn't quite there. And in terms of the player to watch, it's a bit of a tricky one. I mean, Cristiano Ronaldo, once again, always going to be a favourite, just like Mo Salah for Liverpool, but I'm going to go for Bruno Fernandes. He's created some beautiful chances. I feel like adding Ronaldo to this team, I feel like Bruno Fernandes has just reached just a slight different level. He's not looking too bad. Now jumping into game number 3, it is going to be Aston Villa versus Wolverhampton Wanderers. Now Wolves finally picked up a win in their previous game versus Newcastle Newcastle United. And let me say this, Wang was very impressive, which is not a phrase I say that often, to be honest with you. But I have to say, as a whole, Wolves looked very good in that game. If they played every game like they did that game, I feel like they could be in a serious spot for a European spot almost. Defensively, I still feel like they've got one or two areas they need to pick up. But attacking-wise, they weren't bad. Wang is going to be my player to watch. He was brilliant in that game, scoring 2 goals. Jimenez on the creative front, once again, not bad. The only reason they conceded a goal, unfortunately, I don't necessarily agree with it. I feel like it was poor refereeing not to stop the play when the goalkeeper got kicked in the neck. I mean, I feel like at a stage we've heard enough complaints about referees and, oh yeah, from time to time they make this mistake, that mistake. If you get booted in the head, I'm not a professional referee, I feel like that's some sort of reason to stop play. But you know what, end of the day, Wolves still got a win. That is a very impressive turn in form for them. Hopefully they can keep it up, and I think that they will end up getting a win versus Aston Villa. Now, saying that, Aston Villa, not too bad. Once again, we've seen ups and downs from them this season. On the attacking front going forward, I've seen some brilliant moments, but defensively, I just feel like they're not as organized. They're not as neat at the back. They definitely need to tidy up a tiny bit. I feel like in terms of their defensive positioning, it's not always great. And versus Tottenham Hotspurs, definitely we saw versus a fast counter-attack, they seem to struggle just a slight bit. And if Wolves kind of have that similar counter-attack, once again, I feel like Wolves is the only team that'll come up on top. Once again, nothing bad versus Aston Villa, but I feel like Wolves will get a 2-1 win, and Wang will be my player to watch. Now, jumping and diving straight into the next game, it is going to be Manchester City versus Burnley. Now, I'm not going to say it is going to be a landslide win. I mean, history definitely doesn't say that it's going to be a landslide win, but let's just say that Burnley is probably Manchester City's favorite team to play against. I think, once again, Manchester City will get the win. I feel like it will be a comfortable win. I'm going to go for a 4-0 win. Manchester City at the moment are just looking so good. Even without a proper striker, they've got brilliant goal scorers. My player to watch, this is probably the trickiest part of this game, is choosing who the player to watch will be. Whether it's a player like Ferran Torres, whether it's someone like Phil Foden, whether it's Mahrez, whether it's this player, that player. I mean, I just know it won't be Raheem Sterling. I mean, that comment might bite me in the back, but I am probably going to go for Ferran Torres. He's been great for the national team. He hasn't looked bad for City. He will be my player to watch. And as I said, City, I feel like are the more dominant team. They're looking good at the moment. Burnley still yet to get a win. They drew to Norwich. I mean, who draws to Norwich? They drew to Norwich in their previous game. Now, as a United fan, I probably know that calm will come back and bite me, as United will probably lose points to them some points in the season. Now, diving into the next game, it is Southampton versus Leeds. Now, looking at Southampton, they are without their main man, James Ward-Prowse, who, as we know, when he's not in the midfield, from time to time, Southampton really struggle to create those goals. And although they only lost 3-1 to Chelsea, the way they played, I would not have been surprised if Southampton conceded 5 to 6 goals. Defensively, they were horrific. Attacking-wise, once again, just not there. Southampton at the moment are in a very poor spot, and I really struggle to see them escaping that. Leeds United in their previous game versus Watford ended up picking up the result. They ended up picking the win. I thought that they played relatively well. Once again, defensively, a lot to sort out. Meslier has definitely been the busiest goalkeeper so far this Premier League season, which, once again, not a bad thing. His saves are really looking good at the moment. But at the end of the day, Leeds United as a whole, defensively, talk about murder ball, their defense is getting murdered this season. Attacking front, they're not looking bad. As I said, I feel like just their attacking ability versus Southampton will probably scrape the win. I am going to put forward a 2-0 win. As I said, Meslier is a brilliant goalkeeper. I think he will get a clean sheet. And in terms of a player to watch, probably Rafinha. They've been very dependent on him from time to time going forward, and I think we'll see that in the game like that. But hopefully Bamford starts to kick in goals and starts hitting the back of the net on a more regular basis at some point this season. Now, next up, we've got the likes of Norwich versus Brighton. To me, this is almost a no-brainer. I'm going to go for Brighton with a 2-0, 1-0 win. I don't know. I feel like Brighton will win. I'm going to put it down as a 2-0 win. I think Brighton can be tremendously proud of themselves. The way they've started the season, they have looked immaculate. They have been incredible to watch. Where Norwich is one of those teams where it's got great individuals. You look at the individuals throughout their team, but as a team, they're just not that impressive as a whole. And because of that, until they start picking up form, yes, I know they got a draw versus Burnley, but I wouldn't really call that form. Until they start picking up wins, I can't see them getting a win, especially versus Brighton, who have looked so good as of late, been picking up valuable points. And in terms of my player to watch for them, I'm probably going to go for the likes of Neil Maupay. I mean, versus Arsenal, Brighton had some decent decent chances. So if they can kind of create the same chances versus Norwich, it should be an easy win for them. Now next up, we've got Brentford versus Chelsea. Now, any game with Brentford now, I don't know whether I love or hate to predict it, because you don't want to predict Brentford to lose. I think Brentford at the moment are the most likable team in the Premier League. We have completed 7 weeks and Brentford have only lost 1 game. They've only lost 1 game still in their Premier League's history. Can we just talk about how insane, how crazy that is? I think going forward, they've just got this intensity about them. They push until the 90th minute, which, as I've said in multiple games and multiple occasions, that is important. That kind of energy to push for the 90th minute, that can really win or lose games. Now, do I think that they'll get the result versus Chelsea? As much as I like Brentford, as much as I want the bees to sting, I do think Chelsea will get the result. I feel like on their day, Chelsea might be the best team in the world, especially with the individuals. Attacking front, not looking bad. Midfield front, not looking bad. Defensively, we know Thomas Tuchel has built this incredible team. So versus Brentford, once again, it's no secret. I feel like the Champions League winners are going to be the better team in a game like this. I think Chelsea will win 2-1. I still think it will be a tight contest because Brentford have proven over and over the season that they can get results. They beat West Ham 2-1 in their previous game. They have been beyond impressive. It will be a tight contest, but I will give Chelsea the win. And in terms of a player to watch, as much as I'd like to go for your Mason Mount or your Lukaku, I want to give a bit of credit to someone who almost never gets credit, as Pilaqueta, who I would say has been the most consistent player in the Premier League for the last 10 years, doesn't get enough credit. From a defensive, from an attacking point of view, no matter what you want him to do, no matter what role you want him to fulfill, your dad left you 10 years ago, he can fulfill that role. Whatever you want as Pilaqueta to do, that's exactly what he can do. I think he's an incredible player, and I think he'll definitely be one to watch. Maybe he won't be the main man, but I think that he could definitely impress in a game like this. Now jumping on to what I believe is the second last game of match week 8, and it is going to be Everton versus West Ham. Now of course, Everton getting that draw versus Manchester United. I think Everton going forward on the attacking front with their pace, with their energy, with their counter-attacking ability, once again, not bad this season. We've seen way too many sloppy plays. In terms of their defense, they still definitely need to patch up on their defense. Looking at West Ham United, once again, maybe not as impressive as they need to be this season. I definitely feel there are some stars in their team. Once again, as a whole team, I've been very impressed. I feel like they've got brilliant defenders, midfielders, attackers. This team as a whole is absolutely brilliant. But once again, been slightly underwhelming this season. I do feel like it will be a very close game between these two teams, and I do feel like it is going to end up being a 2-2 draw. The first draw, should I say, of my match week 8. As I said, I just can't really split these two teams, and I feel like Moyes' old team versus Moyes' current team, I feel like it will really be, super close. It will be a 2-2 draw. And in terms of my player to watch, I've gone for the likes of Townsend. As I said, I feel like Townsend is a serious shout for the signing of the season. The impact he's had on Everton has been beyond impressive, and I think he can be very proud of himself. Genuinely, he's been brilliant for Everton. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to our final game of Premier League match week 8, as it is going to be Newcastle United versus Tottenham Hotspurs. I do feel like I ended up missing a game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've missed the game. Now, the real second last game, we can forget that whole mistake happened, is going to be Newcastle United versus Tottenham Hotspurs, and unfortunately versus Wolves. I wasn't that impressed with Newcastle United. I feel like they really conceded majority of the chances. I mean, Wolves really started beating down on Newcastle United's defense. Defensively, they are not looking that good. Attacking-wise, once again, I feel like Willock and St. Maximin is really the only positive I have to say about Newcastle United this season, which, I mean, not a bad thing considering St. Maximin's strike partner next season probably will be Kylian Mbappe with their new takeover. Once again, I can't wrap my head around this whole takeover thing. Newcastle United becoming the wealthiest, richest club in world football. Not even just in the Premier League. It is so baffling to think about. But you know what? Obviously, that takeover hasn't happened yet. And versus Tottenham Hotspurs, although Tottenham Hotspurs has definitely had their downside so far this season, I am going to give them a win. I feel like Tottenham Hotspurs will scrape a win. I feel like it will be a 1-0 result. Obviously, they beat Aston Villa 2-1 in their previous game. And in terms of a player to watch, I think it's going to be Heung-min Son. Once again, Harry Kane, I'm not even sure he's played a game for Tottenham Hotspurs this season. I mean, he has, I can see the statistics, but I mean, genuinely, he's been a shadow of the player that we know he can be. Heung-min Son, once again, a brilliant player. He will be my player to watch. And that, ladies and gentlemen, takes us to our final game of Premier League Match Week 8, and it is going to be Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. Now, obviously, looking at Arsenal, I mean, they had a very good month. Obviously, they started off the first month of the Premier League without scoring a single goal, and now Arteta ended up picking up the Premier League Manager of the Month. Obviously, they've had a serious turn in form, but looking at Crystal Palace, you cannot underestimate their ability on the attacking front. They've been very good this season. They just got a draw versus Leicester. Obviously, in the midfield-wise, I've given him praise multiple times, but Gallagher has looked brilliant. Crystal Palace at the moment look very strong, but in terms of result, I am going to give Arsenal a 1-0 win. I feel like they will just scrape the win. And in terms of a player to watch, once again, Arsenal's a tricky team. They've got so many players that potentially could win the match for them. I'm going to go for Emile Smith-Rowe. I feel like he is a real game changer that people don't necessarily give the correct credit to. And it's going to be very interesting seeing Viera manage a club versus his former club. I think that is kind of the battle that everyone is waiting for. But that, ladies and gentlemen, will conclude my Premier League Match Week 8 predictions. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, make sure to hit the like button down below. Please make sure that you're accurate with your shooting accuracy. We don't want you missing that like button, along with hitting that subscribe button. And if you want to see more of my stuff in the future, obviously I want this channel to grow. I want more people to watch it, more people to see it. And the best way that can happen is if you guys do all of those things, hitting the like button, subscribe button, all of those things. I won't pretend like it doesn't matter to me. It matters to me. But guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Finn, FYNN. Enjoy the Premier League Match Week football for Match Week 8. Cheers.